accidentally going live because I accidentally hit live.
Let me get out the thingy. If I don't get out thingy, I won't be able to review. No, I won't be able to review. No, ho. Alright, do the countdown when you're ready. Oi, and welcome to the Dritz Dresden channel. I'm Ski Nerd, and that is...
Derp derp.
And we are here to review...
What
you guys wanted.
Specifically One Piece.
And what you guys wanted was One Piece, so, I guess that's what we'll do.
Now
Thanks for breaking my heart, everyone.
We aren't going to do every season at once. We're going to do one first season, and then if we reach the next 1,000, we're going to review something else, and then do second season just for our own sanity.
Apparently, season 1 has like 60-some episodes. That's what I hear. I don't know if that's true, but if it's true,
we'll be here
put a P in the chat if it's true. P's in the chat, everyone.
We'll be here for about 11 weeks.
There is no chat.
Yeah, there is.
Nobody's watching this live. But we're going to do it anyways. For the memes.
Hey.
Alright.
We're just going to do the first 5 episodes at a time to keep them at 20-minute videos, 20 to 30-minute videos.
Yep, and so it's only 2 hours of watching stuff.
But first, we'll start off with episode 1 that's titled, I'm Going to Be the King of Pirates. With many exclamation points.
I did not write that down. I just wrote episode 1.
Because on Netflix it just says episode 1, but it says the episode title in the episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm too lazy to write that shit down.
But I also looked it up.
Oh, well, there you go. Alright, so episode 1. The beginning of our insanity. The beginning of the end of our feeble minds. Alright, so it starts with a barrel adrift in the ocean. And there's this cruise liner ship. And they're having a party. And there's this redhead girl. And she's... in the party scene, some guy's like, oh, would you like to dance, miss? And she's just like, oh, of course I would. And all of a sudden, the crew sees a ship come from behind was it an island or a rock? I can't remember. Some small island in the middle of this ocean, and it has a pirate flag on it. And the crew starts like panicking. They're like, oh my god, it's pirates, oh my god, and then the captain's like not even captaining, he's just in the ballroom like flirting with chicks and stuff like that, and he's like, oh my god, everyone don't panic, everyone to their stations, blah blah blah. And they get raided by this pirate ship, and the captain of the pirate ship is that person,
Alvida.
Yes. She's kind of a douchebag. She definitely I think she literally is a douchebag.
I think she's a combination of a Snorlax and a douchebag. Because she's
a douchelax. She's a douchelax. And this is where we are introduced to Koby. And
the first one on the list with the pink hair.
Yep, he is the chore boy on this ship, and he is scared about raiding this vessel because he is a little boy, and she's like, if you don't go, I'm gonna take out the club and beat you with it. And he's like, oh my god. Oh.
As you can see, the club is massive.
Yeah, I don't know how she can hold that up. Must be the Snorlax in her. And so there's this. However, before that happens, before they get attacked, the sailors on the party cruise find a barrel floating in the ocean. They're like, "Oh, what's this?" They take it aboard, and they're like, "Ooh, this is cool," and they just put it in. They just put it in storage, and they think it's alcohol. Um, We're like, "Ooh, we're gonna have some later. This is sweet." Or maybe it's the pirates that do that. I don't know. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Then we see Luffy, and there's these. I think it's Kobe that takes the barrel, and he's like, I'm gonna take this back to the ship. I think it has alcohol in it, and these three pirates are like, haha, we're gonna take a sip of it. He's like, oh, you can't do that. Avita's gonna get mad, and that can't happen. They're like, she doesn't have to know about it. And so they try to open it. They're about to open it, and then Mr. Luffy pops out. He's like, oh man, that was a good nap. And all these pirates get like pissed at them, and he's like really confused, and he's really hungry. Um, and he's able to beat these pirates in one fell swoop. Like he breaks their swords and stuff like that. Ooh. And he breaks their swords, and he's like, "Aha! I'm me. I'm Luffy. You can't defeat me." So they get beaten up, and then Kobe's like, "Oh my God, who are you? How did you defeat them? You're super strong." And we kind of get Kobe's backstory of he was on this ship for 2 years, and he was kidnapped. Basically, he went off to go fishing one day, and these pirates just took him on their ship. It doesn't say how old he is, but he's got to be like 10 years old or something like that. But and it's believed that he's a monster. Kobe thinks that this Luffy's a monster because he has like the rubber skin and stuff like that. Um, and Luffy exclaims to Kobe, "I want to be the king of the pirates one day and claim the One Piece."
In the first episode, he's 16.
That kid's 16.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh.
Age debut 16.
All right. He looks like he's fucking 8. All right. Anyways, definitely hasn't hit puberty yet. Oh my God, he's 16. Oh, I hope he's all right. Anyways, Luffy goes off about how he wants to achieve his dream of achieving the One Piece. He excludes his philosophy of having free will, and he wants to do what he wants to do. And at this, Kobe exclaims, "Yeah, I want to do what I want to do. I want to join the Navy." He's like, "Oh wow, that's really cool." And then they kind of go up one level, and more pirates discover that Luffy's on board, and these other pirates tell him that the three pirates. I think they ran away, right?
Yep.
They get knocked out and they gain consciousness, run away, tell Alvida like, "Hey, there's this bounty hunter, or there's a monster on board, or a bounty hunter, and he's after you."
They say monster, but Alvida just automatically assumed it's a bounty hunter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a bounty hunter, absolutely." And that's when we get to see
foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's where we get to see Luffy use his powers and what he can do. He is a rubber person, so he's able to use his Gumma Gumma pistol, Gumma Gumma rocket, and he just flings his arms like really long, like Super Stretch Armstrong kind of thing, which is like, oh, that's weird. And Alvida explains, oh, he must have eaten one of the devil fruits, and as an audience, we're like, devil fruit, what's that? They don't really explain it in this episode. We
Other than that, most people think it's just a myth.
That's true, because it's stuff you can only find on the Grand Line. However, they don't really explain the Grand Line in this episode. It's just a place where the One Piece technically is, because all these pirates are looking for it, basically.
It's
there's
every
another person-
pilot's one goal in life to find the One Piece.
And so they're trying to fight Luffy, and Luffy's taking down the pirates left and right. And Alvida says to Kobe, "Hey, you need to attack this guy. If you don't do it, I'm gonna beat you with this club." And it's apparent like they have a very abusive relationship. And so at this point, because of what Luffy said, he stands up to Alvida, and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna attack you. You're a big ugly woman." Or whatever, and he's like thinking to himself, "Oh, I can't go back now. I can't go back now after what I just said." And she gets really offended if you call her ugly and stuff like that, because she is technically ugly, like inside and out, And he says, basically, I want to join the Navy. I don't want to be on the ship anymore. And she's like, "Oh, you're going against me? Huh? I'm gonna beat you." And then that's when Luffy steps in and he's able to like punch her and get her back, and then he defeats her. I forget how it is, but he like pushes her off or something like that. But some big rocket power, and
he
he's able to
uses
punch her.
Gum Rocket and sends her to space, basically.
Into the he sends her into the ocean, where another pirate fell off earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember now. And so after that happens, Luffy and Kobe are having a conversation. They talk about the Grand Line, and Luffy is looking for a strong crew to join his pirate brigade, if you will.
Pirate crew.
Yeah, pirate crew. And he's like, "Oh, how big is your crew?" "Oh, I just got one. It's just me." "Where's your boat?" It's sank in the big whirlpool over there." And then Kobe goes, "The whirlpool? No, nobody could survive that." And he's like, "Yeah, but it was hard, but yeah, I made it." And then this is where we see Zoro, and then it cuts to he wants to go to this Navy base because he wants to join the Navy, and he's like, "Oh, a big bounty hunter is over there. His name is Zoro," and it shows Zoro like being crucified, basically. So that's the end of episode 1. Great episode 1. We learned a lot. There's a lot of stuff. I've seen the first 30 episodes before, and I've seen the live action version, so I kind of know about that a little bit. But there is a lot of stuff in this world. It's a brand new world. It's thought up by the creator. I don't know his name.
Eiichiro Oda.
Eiichiro Oda. This is his baby. This is his world, and it's a brand new world, and it's very, very intriguing.
That we live in.
Yeah.
It's a brand new
It's
world.
it's very mysterious, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding this Grand Line. In episode 2, I believe, is when they talk more about that. Episode 2 or 3, I can't remember. But we can talk about it here early. Might as well. So the Grand Line is basically there's 2 oceans in this world, and they're huge, and there's basically a strip of land that circumnavigates the globe, and somewhere along, at a right angle along this piece of land, there's the Grand Line cuts through a city, and that's how you get into the Grand Line, where there's a bunch of pirates and stuff. Only the big dog pirates can make it in there and survive it. And as we will see in the future, there's definitely there's always people who talk about how dangerous the Grand Line is, and you need a strong crew and stuff like that. And a lot of people try it, and a lot of people.
It's called the Pirates Graveyard for a reason.
Yeah, battlefield and graveyard. So that's very intriguing. That's very cool. And what is this? What is this devil fruit? What is this? What is this rubber man trying to do?
That is the gum fruit right there.
Yep. All right. So, episode trois. Did I say that right? Two trois. Is that French for two? I don't know.
Un, deux, trois.
I took a French class and I absolutely fucking hated it because our teacher was horrible.
Because it's un, deux, trois.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't even know French, and I know that much.
Yeah, I had a horrible teacher, so.
Episode 2 is called Enter the Great Swordsman Roronoa Zoro.
Hi.
Where we are officially introduced to Zoro.
Yay! But you see him not in that position. You see him in the crucifix position. He's not hanging. He's half standing, basically.
He's kneeling.
So his legs are like his legs are like this.
His legs are kneeled.
He might move them for different comfort, but when I was noticing when they first saw him, his legs were straight, and he was just like, "What do you want, Luffy?" Well, he didn't know Luffy's name, but anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's get into this. All right, cool. They arrive at this Navy base, and they're in town, and Luffy says, "Hey, do you know where I can find this bounty hunter Zoro?" And all the townspeople are like, "Oh, oh, oh, oh," and they're terrified. And what's his name? Kobe. He says, "Oh, I think Captain Morgan is in charge of this place. He's a real good guy." And Luffy's like, "Oh, do you guys know where I can find Captain Morgan?" And everybody's like, "Oh, that's the exact same reaction. They're totally scared of both of these names." And Kobe the whole time is like, "Oh, he was captured by the Navy. He must be a bad guy, and the Navy is good." Because he holds the Navy in high esteem because they capture pirates who are bad. And anyways, so it cuts to Zoro. He's on this cross thing, and he's just there, just waiting, captured, tied up. He can't do anything. And then Luffy is like, this guy's strong, but I need to see if he's a good guy. That's the quote. And then we learn about Captain Morgan. He's in charge of this base.
Captain Morgan.
In the city.
Not the rum.
That is Captain Morgan. We learn that the locals are scared of both of their names. And as Kobe and Luffy try to get a look at this Zoro character, so they climb the wall, and then a girl appears next to them with a couple rice balls, and she hops the fence, and they're like, "Huh, who is that?" And she goes up to Zoro, and she's like, "Hey, I'm here to feed you." He's like, "I don't need any food." He's like, "But this is my first time. I made it like this." He's like, "No, I don't need your food." And then we're introduced to
Helmeppo.
What a fucking douche. As you will soon see. We learned that he is Captain Morgan's son, and he is there with a couple Marines to harass Zoro. And he says to the little girl, "Hey, what are you doing?" Hold on, I need a draft. Oh, there's nobody left. Padre Spears. Sorry.
Brought to you by our sponsor.
I'm going to turn this off.
Our non-sponsor, Fantasy Football.
Yeah, right. Don't worry, it's a mock draft. So Captain Morgan's son, we learn he's an asshole. So this girl wanted to give him rice balls, and he says to the girl, "Hey, giving food to a criminal is an offense punishable by death. Do you not?" And she's like, "Oh." She's like really scared. And what do you want? Jesus Christ. Fine, I'll take you. I don't care. It's not a real draft. It's a mock. It doesn't matter. Shut up.
We still aren't sponsored by them.
So he he's like, oh, let me see those rice balls, and he tries one, and he's like, oh, this is terrible. It's too sweet. She's like, well, I thought the sugar would make it better. No, you're supposed to put salt in it. So he throws it on the ground. And she's like, but I worked really hard on that. I made it for him. He's like, all right, you need to get the fuck out of here. He's like, Marine, you need to grab this girl and get her the fuck out of here. And he's like, what? But I can't do that because it's a little fucking girl. And he's like, oh, do you want me to get my dad and sort this out? And he's like, no. So he throws the little girl over the fence, and Luffy catches her, and he's like, this is not right. And so they try to punish the girl by throwing him over, and then Zoro talks to Luffy, because Luffy, after they all leave, walks up to him to talk to him, and he's like, hey, who are you? And he's like, hey, can you do me a favor? He's like, sure. Can you feed me that rice ball? Are you sure? It's all full of mud and stuff. He's like, just feed it to me. And he eats it, and he's like, oh man, that was delicious. He's like, all right, you're kind of a weird one. And he's like, who are you? Oh, I'm a pirate. Oh, I hate pirates. He's like, I'm looking to build a crew. He's like, well, I'm not going to join a pirate crew. He's like, oh, well, okay then. So this is where we learned why Zoro's there. And what happened was he actually took the place of being punished instead of the girl, which is why the girl's giving him food. And what happened was Hellameppo had his pet dogs come in to the city and just harass people. And he's like, if you attempt to mess around with my dogs, you'll be punished. So he's basically an asshole, like, rich kid. Like, oh, I can get away with everything. I have my daddy that'll come save me. And Zoro stops the dog, and he punches Hellameppo in the face for trying to... That's my alarm going off for no reason. And he punches Hellameppo. He's like, oh my god, you punched me in the face. I'm going to tell my dad. He's like, if you're going to fight, don't attack this girl. Attack me. Like a man. He's like, I'll make a deal with you. If you take the punishment and be crucified for a month, I'll let this girl go free for, trying to attack my dog. She was like attacking the dog with a broom or something like that. And the mom was like, don't startle them. Like, they came into this restaurant, and these dogs just went crazy and started eating people's food. Like, what the fuck? And so that was the deal. So it's been 3 weeks, and Zoro's still there, alive, somehow. So that's the story. So he goes back. So this is where Luffy, I believe he goes to. They're getting food, or he walks up to Hellameppo. I can't remember, but anyway, so he's like, basically Luffy says, this is a horrible thing you're doing. You should stop doing it. It's not cool. And it's not cool. So Hele is punched by Luffy, and he's like, "Oh my god, you hit me! I'm gonna tell my dad," like he did with Zoro, basically. So Hellameppo hides behind his dad, and as Zoro is, trying to stay awake on this crucifix, he has a flashback to him fighting this blue-haired girl, and her saying, "Oh, you're not strong enough, Zoro," blah blah. And then it cuts to a statue being put up, and this is where we actually get to see Captain Morgan, and in all his glory, and he's having his soldiers put up this statue of him, of course, and one of the Marines make a mistake, and he's like, hey, did you just scratch my statue? If scratching a statue is basically like attacking me, and you know that's punishable by death, right? he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, blah blah blah." So he does it anyways, and yeah, go away. Um, and this is where Helemepo comes, and he's like, "Daddy, Daddy, oh my God, there's this monster who attacked me. It was horrible." And he's like, "What did you do with that girl? Did you punish her?" And he's like, "Well, no, no, I just kind of let her go." He's like, "What? No, she broke the rules. She needs to be punished by death. I got to this position by being the strongest. I am the strongest." But basically, might makes right. That's his philosophy, kind of a thing. And even Helemepo is like, oh my, he's like taken aback by his dad's brutality, like this draconian, like everything is punishable by death kind of thing. Uh, and then Luffy comes up because he wants to meet this Captain Morgan guy and see what he's all about. He's like, I want to see it, so he does Gummo Gummo Rocket, and he goes up there and he breaks the statue, and he's like, oh, and then Helemepo is like, oh my God, that's the guy who punched me, and then uh, Captain Morgan is like everyone after him. So they're all like fighting him, all fighting Luffy and stuff like that. And this is when Kobe goes up to Zoro and he starts talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, back in the tavern when Helemepo was boasting about things. Oh, this is why I think this is why Luffy punched him. Um, he said Helemepo said, "Oh, I have no intention of actually releasing him. We're gonna execute him like later, like tomorrow or something like that." And Zoro like realizes like this betrayal, and he's like, "All right, let me out of here." Um, at this point, I think Luffy beat a lot of them, and uh, so Kobe and Luffy let him go, and he's free. And as he's trying to free him, uh, Captain Morgan and some other Marines are getting close to them basically. And so at the very last second, he's able to get released, and Luffy. Oh, that's why he had to go up there because Luffy needed to get his swords. That's right, because he has 3 swords. He is a triple 3 sword,
Centaurio
3 sword
sword style.
sword style. Um, and Kobe released Zoro. And then hello,
Jake, you got Mally?
Yep.
cool. Um, and then Luffy thwarts the execution, and Zoro is able to get his swords, and he's able to get free, and now they're able to fight Captain Morgan. That's it in episode 2. So basically, it goes from episode 2 right into episode 3. So let's get into it.
Episode 3 is titled. Uh,
Maybe he got back.
An unlikely pair, the pirate and the pirate hunter.
Look at that hair. I need to comb it. All right. So this is Zoro gets free. He gets his swords. He has 2 swords in 2 hands, and then one in his mouth because
It's his
okay,
style.
that's his style. Yep. And this is where there's a bunch of philosophies thrown around, like, hey, if I release you, will you join my crew? He's like, for releasing me to attack this asshole, absolutely, I will join your crew. So he joins the crew. So he has one. And he wants to be like the world's greatest swordsman. And so this is when they start fighting basically. And at one point it was like Luffy. They were like surrounded by 2 sides. They had Captain Morgan on one side, and then Helemepo and the other Marines at the other side. And it's a lot easier to see it in the show, um, but we get the feeling that Luffy trusts Zoro in a fight. Basically, Luffy is only able to take on one person, so he turns to Helemepo and his goons, while turning his back to Captain Morgan, trusting that his crew member Zoro will get his back. So it happens really fast, but Zoro is able to take on the captain in like one fell swoop as Luffy takes on the other guys. So that was really cool to see that. But it happens really fast, so it's kind of hard to explain. Okay, that's a snail. Okay, awesome. Anyways, and as soon as Captain Morgan gets down, the Marines put down their guns and they start celebrating. They're like, "Yay, Captain Morgan is gone!" And then they all realize, "Oh, everybody hated this guy." And and then as this is going on, the redheaded girl that we saw in the boat in the other episode, who I forgot to mention in episode 1, she was going around trying to steal stuff, and she stole all the gold from the Avita's ship, basically. So that was kind of funny. Anyways, so we see the redheaded girl in the headquarters, and she breaks into a safe, and she's able to find a map of the Grand Line, and it has a face of someone with like a giant red clown nose, and we learn that that is the pirate known as Buggy. So she steals that map, and it's Captain Buggy. This is when Luffy and Zoro and Kobe and the rest of the town are eating, and they gave them free food for freeing them and stuff. So they're like eating, they're having a great time. They're like, yay! And this is where Luffy reveals to Zoro. Zoro asks, "So how many people in your crew? You must have amassed a big crew already." And he's like, "Nope, you're the first one." He's like, "What? You're the first one? Well, what about your ship?" "Oh, there's my ship over there." And it's this small, dinky little ship. And he's like, "That's your ship?" He's like, "Yeah, but I have dreams of getting a much bigger ship with a cool pirate flag." And he's like, "Oh my god, what did I get myself into?" And this is where they kind of mention what the Red Line is, and Gold Roger. So Gold Roger was this big, giant, famous pirate who had a shit ton of gold and shit. A lot of shit, huh?
He amassed all the treasure of the world, basically.
Yep, and years ago, he was executed for piracy by the Navy. He was caught somehow. You don't know how. But he was executed, and he told the massive crowd, like, "Hey, I left a treasure out there called the One Piece. If you can find it, it's yours." And that's when this great pirate adventure kind of thing started in this world. So a lot of people.
This is well before even Luffy was born.
Yeah, this guy died before Luffy was even born. Anyways, so they talk about the Red Line, and that is the Red Line and the Grand Line kind of meet, and they explain the two different oceans and the circumnavigation of this continent. And I'm sure there's other islands spread throughout the ocean and stuff like that, which is how they have food and stuff. But they explain that, and that wasn't a very good explanation by me. But if you watch the show, they kind of explain it better, and as the show goes on, they'll explain more and more, so it makes more sense.
And they'll also just keep adding more to it.
Yeah.
Like more areas, and
even
gets kind of ridiculous.
Like, even if you just watch the live action one, they explain it enough for you to understand. But if you watch the anime, it explains a little more in better detail and stuff like that. But anyways, and Luffy explains like his ship's dream and the Red Line and Gold Roger and this great search for what's known as the One Piece, which is the biggest treasure on the Grand Line. And they talk about Kobe's dream and how he wants to join the Navy, and he's in the right place to join it. And then while they're eating, while they're finishing up eating, a bunch of Navy guys come in and they're like, "Hey, we know you saved us, but you guys are pirates, and we have to ask you to leave. Um, and if you don't, we'll arrest you because you're pirates." So Luffy and Zoro get kicked out, and at this time, they see Kobe with them, and they're like, "Hey, are you affiliated with these pirates?" And that's when Luffy he's like, "Hey, yeah, I know this guy. I was with him. He was a a chore boy on this ship." And the whole time Kobe is in his head. It's like, please don't say anything. Please don't say that I'm with you. I'll never be able to join the Navy if they think I'm a pirate. And basically, Luffy is trying to
convince them that they are not friends.
It's not. Oh yeah, convince them. What's the word? Not intimidate. Deceive. He's trying to deceive them into thinking he's not with them, and he's trying to antagonize Kobe. And Kobe eventually just punches him, and he just says like, "Hey, get off me, get off me!" And this was absolutely genius by Luffy, because as soon as Luffy gets punched, he smiles. He's like, "No," he's like, "Yep, I'm helping you with your dream," basically. So with them punching each other, they're like the Navy guy. He's like a lieutenant commander, and which is 2 ranks below captain. FYI, Star Trek. Anyways, uh, um, and then Kobe is like, "Please, can I want to join the Navy." And when the one guy is like, "I don't know, he's been hanging out with pirates. Pirates are known to infiltrate the Navy." He's like, "I think you're an okay guy. You can join the Navy." And Kobe's like, "Yes, I can join the Navy. Yes, I've achieved my dream." And immediately in the next scene, the Navy staff, they're all saluting Luffy for getting rid of Captain Morgan. And they're like, "All right, we'll see you later. We'll always be friends." Luffy says to Kobe, and Kobe's like, "I've never had friends before." And the Navy guy, the head Navy guy, the lieutenant commander, he's just like, "All right, now we have to do like 7 days, or go 3 days without food for saluting a pirate." Everyone who saluted has to go without food for 3 days.
They all cheer.
Yeah, they're super happy about it. That's the end of episode 3. So episode 4,
which is titled "Passing of the Hat."
Ooh. All right, this is where it starts off with the redhead girl. She's in a ship, and looks like she hasn't eaten or drinking stuff in days. And there's these 3 pirates on the ship, and they're like, "Haha, we just got this treasure. We stole this boat. This is so cool. We're totally awesome pirates." And she comes, adrift, like not paddling or anything. And she's like, "Please, can I have some water? I'll give you my treasure. I'll give you all of it. I don't care. I just need some water." And these 3 pirates are like, "Hey, this chick is pretty awesome. Yeah, we'll give you water. We just gotta check and see what's in this treasure first." So they unlock it, and like a spring of penguin or something like that pops out. It's on a spring, and immediately she gets on their boat, steals it, and she's like, "Haha, suckers, I stole your boat." Which is pretty great, pretty amazing. And then we get a scene with Zoro and Luffy's hat like flies away, and we learn about how important the hat is to Luffy, and he can't lose it. And he's like, "No, that's Shank's hat." And this is where it flashes back to Shank in the past, and Luffy as a
and
as
this
a kid.
is Shanks. There.
There we go. This is the best we can do. That's Shanks. Awesome. So we get a flashback of there's these the pirates that are in a bar. They're all like having a good time. Luffy's talking to Shanks. He's like, I want to join your crew this time. I want to join your crew this time." He's like, "Oh yeah, well you're not going to join my crew," and they all start laughing, because he's a little kid. And these bandits come in, and they're like, "Hey, we're here to drink some alcohol," and the the woman running the bar, she's like, "Oh no, we don't have any alcohol left. These guys drank it all up." And Shanks is like, "Oh well, yeah, we did drink it all up, but here's a bottle of booze, the last one. You can have it if you want." He's like, "Huh, we're bandits. We don't require this little bit of booze. I have a bounty on my head worth 8 million berries, so this piss water isn't good enough for me." And so he starts like spilling the booze on Shanks and stuff like that, and throws it on the ground. "Oh, you gotta clean this up." And so Shanks just like, "All right, I'll clean it up." And Luffy doesn't like that. Luffy thinks that they're just making fun of him, and he thinks Shanks should fight him basically, and Shanks is trying to teach Luffy like
Oh my god.
fighting shouldn't be your first option. It should be your last option. He's like, he tells Luffy, he's like, hey, it's okay that they did this to me. And then Luffy gets mad and he eats this fruit that's by him in this box. And he's like, "Wait, did you eat that fruit in there?" He's like, "Yeah, spit it out right away, spit it out right away." But it's too late. His body turns to rubber, and so then he's informed that he can never swim again, because when you eat the devil fruit, you literally can't swim. You just sink to the bottom of the ocean. So it's a death sentence.
Which is ironic for pirates.
Yeah. So Luffy gets mad at the bandits. So later on, when they're outside, he gets mad. He's like, "Hey, you shouldn't make fun of them. Like, I'm gonna beat you guys up." He's like, "You're going down. You guys you're not cool. You guys humiliated my friends in there." And these bandits like surround this little kid Luffy, and they're just like bullying him. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill you, kid. Yeah, this is for your own good. You don't mess with us. We're land bandits, which are basically pirates but on land." And so Shank and his crew they come out. They're like, "Hey, it doesn't matter who you are. If you threaten my friend, I will kill you." Oh my god, is that just regular SpongeBob? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Venusaur and Ultra Necrozma for some reason.
What the fuck? Anyways, yeah, you hurt my friend. You must pay, basically. And he's basically he was telling Luffy before, like, "Hey, like I'm just having fun here. If they wanna walk all over me, like I don't care. Like they're not doing any harm to anyone. But we ran out of booze, but it's whatever. It's okay to laugh at yourself and stuff like that. So otherwise, the other thing is if you hurt my friend, you have to pay. And this is another lesson for Luffy. Like doesn't matter who you are. Like if you're being a bully, and you need to stop it." Then the bandit basically calls Luffy a monster because he just had the devil's fruit, and he's like trying to like kill Luffy, but it doesn't work. And then Shanks is like, "Yeah, that won't work on him." He's like, "Oh my god, it's a monster," and then he does this. All the pirates and the bandits fight each other basically. Like one of the pirates. Oh, sorry. One of the bandits holds a gun up to Shanks' head, like this, and he's like, "Oh, if you come at me with intention to kill me, be prepared to die." And then another pirate shoots him in the head, so he's dead. And they're like, "Oh my god, these pirates are dirty." They're like, "Yeah, we're fucking pirates. What did you expect?" So they all fight each other, and then the big guy takes Luffy away. He has a smoke bomb, and Shanks is like, "Oh my god, I forgot to like cover that. Oh crap!" And so what happens is this bandit takes this kid Luffy, out on the ocean in a boat, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna kill you, kid. Here you go." And he throws him in the ocean. Before he gets thrown, Luffy's like, I hope something kills you." Blah blah blah. And then as soon as he gets thrown in, a monster appears, a giant like serpent-like monster, and it
Sea
eats
monster.
yeah, sea monster, and it eats the bandit, and it's about to eat Luffy as well. But that's when Shanks comes, and he grabs Luffy, and it bites Shanks' arm off. I forget which one, right or left. Do you know?
Left.
Left. It's his left. He loses his left arm, and this is when Luffy starts crying. He's like, "Oh my God, you lost an arm!" And then Shanks is like, "It's just an arm, but I got to save your life. That's more important than losing an arm.
Yeah, left.
It's okay that I sacrificed an arm." And he basically looks at this monster who's about to jump on him again, and the monster just runs away. We don't know what it is, but it must be something. Like some special power that he has, I don't know. Let's see. And then they go back. He goes back into the bar where they were before, and Luffy's like, "I'm gonna surpass you one day, Shanks. I'm gonna surpass you." He's like, "Oh, you want to be a pirate? I don't think you can be a pirate." Yeah, I can be a pirate. Just trying to motivate the kid, which is really great. Another lesson for Luffy. Wow, so many lessons. So he's like, "All right, if you really want to be a pirate, I have to give you this hat." So he gives him this hat. It's a symbol of your goal to get to my level, basically. Yeah, I know that scene. And later on in the episode, Zoro and Luffy are both really hungry, and then Luffy sees this giant bird in the sky, and he's like, "I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get it." Zoro's like, "All right, go get it if you can." And he goes, "Gumma gumma," and he projects himself up to where the bird is. The bird catches Luffy in his beak, so he's stuck, and Zoro's like, "Crap, I gotta run chase after him." And as he's going, he sees the three pirates from earlier in the water, and they're like, "Hey, boat, help us!" He's like, and Zoro's like, rowing. He's like, I'm not gonna stop. You gotta grab on if you wanna live." And so they all get on, and they're like, "Haha, we're pirates. We're gonna commandeer this ship." He's like, "Oh, you're pirates? Well, I'm Zoro, and I'm a anti-pirate bandit." And they're like, "Oh crap!" They're all like super scared, and he makes them row the boat. He's like, "You need to chase after that thing. Go straight." And then it cuts to the redhead with a stolen map running somewhere, and then Luffy, we see this is where we see Buggy, and he shoots a cannonball at this bird, and he shoots it, and then Luffy falls to the ground in front of the redhead girl, and she's like, "Oh, who are you? Oh, okay." And then that's where the episode ends, and now it's episode 5. A lot of these episodes are just run back to back, which is really nice.
Which is called The Circus Comes to Town.
Mm-hmm. And so this is where Nami's like, she says that she's a person who steals from other pirates, and she's like, "Hey," she says to Luffy, "Hey, maybe we can work together." He's just like, "No, I don't think that's gonna work." So he starts to walk away, and then she notices these other pirates that are running, and she follows Luffy, and immediately he's like, "Oh, boss, thank God you're here. Here, you go get him." And she runs away as a distraction. She uses Luffy as a distraction, and he's hungry, and so she starts running away, and Luffy's able to beat them up, and then she goes, "Oh, he was able to beat him up. I thought he was gonna die." So then it cuts to Buggy and his crew, and everybody's like freaking out because this map was stolen, and this guy comes up to Buggy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the reason why she was able to take care of it, or get it so easily, because the door wasn't locked." He's like, "What? The door wasn't locked?" But he doesn't hear it as the door being locked. He hears it as like a message of like his nose is really big, and he gets really offended and mad at that. And everybody in the crew is like, "Oh my God, it's Buggy. He's gonna use his Gummo Gummo power or whatever." And we eventually learn that he has a power, but we don't know what at this point. Let's see. And after this, Nami goes back to Luffy and says, "Oh, you're a pretty cool guy. Um, so what are you?" He's like, "I'm a pirate. I'm gonna be the king of the pirates." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well," they start talking. I think she mentions that she can get Luffy some food. That usually seems to work. And you can chime in whenever you want, Jake.
I know.
All right, cool. Um, and she mentions that her goal is to get 100 million berries. He's like, "Oh, that's a weird goal, but okay, cool." Um,
I was just checking out
and
my schedule.
she's like, "Yeah, that's all I care about is money and tangerines." Um, and then she mentions like, "Huh, can you? I'm gonna tie you up really quick. I got a plan." He's like, "With." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Why are you tying him up?" "Oh, don't worry, it's just rope." He's like, "Oh, okay, you fed me." So Nami and Luffy go to see Buggy, and Nami gives up Luffy, and she's like, "Here, this is my old boss. I didn't like him. I need to join a boss who is."
I need to exchange for a new one.
Yeah, I need to get a better one. And he's like, and with that, so when Luffy's like, "I'm gonna be king. You're a pirate? I know you're not. I'm gonna be king of the pirates." He's like, "Haha, I can see why you wanted to leave him. He's so delusional." Um, and he mentions, "Oh, prepare. We need to celebrate. You know, we got the. She brings back the map basically. We got the map back. We got a new crew member, and now we can celebrate by using a special buggy ball. That's what they call it. So they use a buggy ball on the town that they're in, which is empty basically, and it fires it and it destroys an entire row of houses. It's like, oh shit. And then he puts another one. He's like, and Buggy's like, "Oh, now you're gonna fire one at your former boss as a way to prove yourself." And she's like, "No, no, no. I don't want to do that. Nope. You're gonna have to do this. Otherwise, she's surrounded by all these pirates and stuff like that. Otherwise, bad things are gonna happen." She's like, "No, no, I can't do that." And she goes, "I don't want to be as low as pirates are." Um, and that's when Luffy's like, "Oh yeah, hell, you're in this predicament because you only have a half-ass resolve." Meaning like, because she didn't go like full into what she wanted to do. Because Luffy's like full into being a pirate. Zoro's full into being a sword master. Kobe's full into being part of the Navy, kind of a thing. And then Nami's like, "I don't want to sink to the level of pirates," and that's when Nami, another pirate comes over and he lights the fuse, and she pulls out this like stick that she puts together super fast and beats him. And Buggy's like, "What the hell are you doing?" She's like, "I'm sorry, don't apologize." And the fuse kind of stops for a little bit, and then it starts a little bit. And so she's like, "No, I'm not going to stoop to your level." So she puts her hands on the fuse and burns her hands to a crisp, trying to stop the fuse from lighting. And Luffy sees this and is impressed by this. Um, and then Zoro appears. "Yay, Zoro!" And he's like, "What's going on? I'm here to rescue Luffy." And so he takes the cannon and he lifts it up so now it's pointing towards Buggy and their crew. And Buggy Buggy challenges Zoro to a fight. Excuse me. And this is where we learn about Buggy's power. So he basically Buggy gets chopped in half, and Zoro thinks he's won, but then Buggy stabs him in the back with an arm that can float, with a hand that can float. And he's like, "What the hell is this? This is my Gumma Gumma power, um, or Devil Fruit power, or whatever they call it." Oh, I fucking like it. I'm so glad I get a massage tomorrow. We're almost done. So it's he calls it Chop Chop Fruit, and he's able to. You can't slice him. He can put himself back together after you slice him. And then this is where Luffy, as they're fighting, Luffy insults Buggy by he's like, "Hey, you got a super big ugly nose," and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what did you just say?" He just totally pissed him off, and that's when they light the cannon and it explodes, and that's where the episode ends. Oh, I gotta get up and do some exercises. Hold on, you can do the outro.
That is our review of first 5 episodes of One Piece. We'll do the next 5 next Tuesday. But before that, we will watch and review the movie Memento on Saturday. And probably can join for my regular gaming streams tomorrow.
Sorry, I got injury problems. My legs are just being weird today.
But like, subscribe,
tight.
comment, help us torture us more.
Or not. Stop liking the videos and I don't have to be frickin' tortured. Stop it.
You know what? No, we'll do Tokyo Revengers next for sure.
Yeah, or we could do a short one. We could do the Paradise. What was it? What was that called?
Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland. I was way off.
We're gonna
do. Did you see the first season of it?
No.
No. Okay.
We're gonna
watch it for his sake.
We're gonna do shorter seasons or shorter series in between.
Yeah.
Just so we don't get overloaded with one series.
Yeah. That would be not fun.
Eventually we'll do Tokyo Revengers. I'm pointing behind me because I have figures.
But you guys are killing me.
Eventually I want to get this guy to watch Gintama.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I'm pointing below me because I have a Gintama computer mat.
You should hold it up for the audience.
No, because I'd have to move a bunch of shit.
Oh, okay. Enough comments and he'll show you. Alright, we can end it there. Alright, thanks for watching.
I'm Derb.
I'm Ski Nerd. This was the Dritz Dresden channel reviewing One Piece.
Because one crazy person
And you're
demanded.
torturing me, so stop it. This is a face of not having fun.
Somebody did message and I just saw it.
Buggy, D-Goat, Slim Suki. Who are you, Slim Suki?
If you're still in here, sorry, I didn't see it till right now.
We're not used to people actually watching this.
But we're hoping you to join us next week.
Put a P in the chat.
We will try to look at it.
Put a PP in the chat if you're still here.
Or comment. Glasses.
Yeah.
Or comment your favorite Gintama quote, which can be glasses, because that is a quote.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it, so I probably never will.
Or strawberry milk. Comment strawberry milk.
Strawberry fields forever.
If you've gotten to this point in the video, or you're still watching.
Okay, well.